Welcome to Discerning News, where we bring you current stories from a bigger picture perspective. The purpose is to inspire clarity and enthusiasm for your unique journey.
Well, welcome to Spiritual Perspectives Discerning News. And today we're going to talk about some of the emphasis in law enforcement that's happening around town, around the country. And one of the things that I wanted to point out that we've discovered that we'll pick up on a topic that we with our sensitivity or our guidance. And I've been noticing that a couple of days later, after we record the episode, I started seeing all sorts of emphasis on that topic in the news. And it's nothing that we've consciously decided to do. We just were picking the stories that jumped out at us, but it's another indicator of how our sensitivity works. And I've got Tiger here today to talk about, how we look at the waves of energy that move in on planet Earth. And also, we're going to talk a little bit today about how we work with some of our materials to help people maneuver, navigate, gain some balance with everything that's going on. So stick around. We've got a lot of interesting topics to talk about and insights that have come to us from Spirit and regrouping our time here on planet Earth.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. So it's probably a pretty good intro of what we picked up to regroup about, setting boundaries, having our boundaries, enforcing our inner laws, and how that's going to reflect outside. So I think the theme. I agree with you. We pick up some of these things to share about, and you get to watch and be a part of that, and how it starts showing up more and more that coming week. And I think this is going to be the same thing, at least from what I sense. But bottom line, seems to be a lot more movement towards reestablishing where I begin and end. And I think it's the Man in the Universe book. It talks about boundaries and respect in society. In essence, my rights begin where yours end, and yours ends where my begin, kind of thing, right? And that's right out of that book. And all of that is built on the idea of live and let live. That everything from top to bottom is live and let live. So if I want to grow personally and spiritually, that principle is gonna have to become a priority in me. Otherwise, I'm not gonna know how to navigate planet Earth. I'm not gonna know how to navigate society and get what I need done. Right? That brings us to that whole thing of how do I navigate society and working with people's boundaries and my boundaries and making sure I'm safe, but also having adventures and so forth. So the bottom line is there's going to be an emphasis here on setting my boundaries, knowing where I begin and end, navigating society, and being able to do that in a way that's healthy and positive, so I can let other people have their opportunities, but not necessarily get caught up in it.
Yeah, and we talk about science, religion, and society.
Right.
How science is kind of an expansion or an outgrowth of our intellectual nature. We want to understand how things work and more the facts of everything. And the religious part of us, or the religion, is an outgrowth of that, wanting to feel more one with all, a part of a bigger picture. That stems more from our true feelings, from our feeling nature. And then those laws, values, mores, those kinds of things all combine to create an environment that we live in a society that we live in with rules and regulations.
That's right.
And there's a little line in one of our workshop books that says, I thought it encompassed it really well. Science, religion, and society have truth, but none have all the truth. When you understand yourself, you can be a part of society without being controlled by it.
That's right. That's right. Because the law, I have to remember that I am a part of everything, right? I'm a part of everything. I couldn't be here. My physical body can't be here if it wasn't part of planet Earth, right? All of the little germs and all of the little bit of dirt and gold and silver and it's all in me, right? The physical body could not survive on planet Earth without the fact that it is a part of it. And spiritually, it's a reflection. It's the same. So spiritually, I am a part of the universe, right? Without it, I couldn't be here. It's just the law of gravity, you could say. So similarly, I am part of the rules and regulations. I am part of the rhythms and routine. And so if I don't recognize that the system is here for me, I'm going to be fighting and wasting a lot of time. That's what it kind of comes down to. You were bringing up in the green room that basically it's like this immature game where people get involved in this constant rebelling or this constant fighting. It's like you said, it's a young person's game, you know? And then when you get more mature, that kind of starts slipping away. It's like, what am I, I'm wasting a lot of time doing this stuff, and just instead of just working with the system that's really there for me, it's helping the average person, the group, the mass move forward, and that's in my benefit. So obviously I'm not suggesting that, there's times when there are things that are really heavy duty and you got these situations and where you have these dictators and, come and oppress. But that's not, in civilized societies, that's not what's going on. So you have a system that's attempting to bring them as many people forward as possible. And if I'm able to play that game of life, I actually have more opportunity to grow spiritually, to grow personally. And that's the other thing for us to remember is, like, for instance, when people get involved in our program, one of the first things that we do is we give them the big picture. We share an orientation with them. And you and I were just regrouping, like, it's amazing how people will jump into these specific techniques out there. We've seen you and I have experienced many other programs, many other spiritual modalities, things like that. But many of them don't just bring the full big picture to you right up front. Like they kind of dish it out little by little. It's kind of like, it's a little bit, I guess they probably don't mean it, but it's a little bit of a controlling mechanism, you know? And so I'm bringing that up because if I don't remember the big picture right from the get-go, then I'm always going to be at odds with somebody or some group or some rule, some regulation. I'm going to be fighting instead of remembering what the big picture is, and then I can work with it, whether I need to be assertive or passive. But if I don't have that big picture, I'm going to forget that I'm only renting here. I'm only here for a short time. And for those of us who go through the cycles, I guess it's kind of young. When you're younger, you don't see it that way. Yeah. Right. But as you get older, you start going, man, where did last year go?
Yeah. Where did the last 7 years go?
Yeah. It's like it just disappears. So, and that keeps going faster and faster and faster. So I'm only renting here. I have a short time here, so I can't waste it playing little immature games and fighting things that are actually for me. So bottom line is, if I remember the big picture of why I'm here, which is why we inspire people to go get the free video, right?
To get started.
Get the orientation video. It's just like, it's a great, powerful, 14 videos, short little 5-minute videos. They're awesome.
And the first 3 are for free to give you, a chance to check them out.
Yeah, you get but it helps me understand what it is I'm here for, and then I don't get caught up in these things of life. So that's basically the first thing I wanted to say, is that if we come in with that bigger picture, especially when we're talking about some of the news we're going to be bringing up with a lot of this not so good stuff that's happening around boundaries, how in this and the breaking of the rules and all that kind of stuff, and people who are really sick. It's like they're missing the big picture and why they're here, and so then they get all caught up in the system rather than working with it.
We exist in a highly intellectual world, and often the feeling part where your inner wisdom lies gets left out. There's a way to feel more in balance with all parts of yourself. This way is by accessing a spiritual bigger picture of who you are as a soul. Check out the link in the show notes to access a free video series created by the Wayshowers College to support your journey and moving through this game of life. Your intellect and feeling parts will love it.
Yeah, and to be frank, like what we're talking about here is the sending into the National Guard into major cities, which is local government. There's become things have swung so far out of balance, you might say, that now the setup is for Big Daddy to come in and take care of it for us. That's one aspect, and then some of the sort of horrific, like crimes. Chicago's back in the news. There's a recent stabbing on a train, and in I think North Carolina, in Charlotte. So without getting into the details, I mean, many of our listeners have probably been made aware of those stories. And what was interesting is we were picking up on that this morning before we went to record this podcast. Tiger was mentioning how I'd said to him, geez, I've noticed that after we talked about RFK, like a few days later, boy, he's even more in the news, than we anticipated. So what's going on here? And I thought one of the things we could do, now that we've kind of prefaced that with the basics again, reminding us that we're all souls here, is like, so how do we evaluate these waves of energy that seem to hit? Because we're always seeming to move from this balance to out of balance to an out of balance the other way, would be my perspective. I like to use the analogy that some of us who are older always remember our folks talking about the Second World War. And, you couldn't be on planet Earth learning and growing without having been involved somewhat in that Second World War. Whether it was sending your sons off to war, or it was rationing, or all the horrible, horrific events that happen to people, and this stuff never seems to end, because now we're experiencing a rise in violence. Chicago's been. I've been there one night, a couple years ago. I mean, I was hearing gunshots in a beautiful, well-to-do neighborhood. And it was interesting, to me, because I grew up in that area, and it didn't used to be like that. So the facts are, it seems to keep coming around. And how do we, take this wonderful peace and love and live and let live?
Right.
How do we make this practical? That's what we're looking at addressing here.
Exactly.
Is, how to work from that spiritual perspective again, as we discern the news that's going around us.
Yeah. So and your last point there, that's the key to this whole thing, right? If you're going to take something away from this, is starting to, how am I going to make this all practical, right? Get the big picture. So make sure you have that. And then, okay, how do I apply that daily?
Right.
Because we don't live all on Mars, or we don't live all on Venus. It's like in Mars, a war, we're all going to Venus, we're all going to have sex all the time, or something. I'm having fun with this, of course. Right. But the point is we don't all think the same, right? This is planet Earth. And there's always going to be different states of awareness, and souls coming in for the first time and souls leaving for the last time. And that constant flow always brings in different levels of awareness. So there's no utopia of the intellect here, which is what I can get caught up in. right? And get this idea that I'm going to make something perfect,
Right.
right? There's going to be a system out there somewhere that's going to be perfect, and we're all going to be in
Perfectly
harmony.
fair. Yeah.
Yeah, perfectly fair, right? I'm an intuitive first gift, so I love that stuff. Like the idea of having this
Fairness.
perfect, fair system. Boy, I like the idea of that. But then this is what we're talking about, the practical application. Like, how does that work where I can still have my free will
Mm-hmm.
to learn and grow? Well, then that goes right out the window, right? We were reading in one of our home studies,
Uh-huh.
right? Some amazing stuff here, people. I'm not just saying that because we're sharing it with you. It talks about how spiritually, as a soul, as an entity, as intelligent light, as energy, right? We are all equal. There's no separation. We are equal. Even your spiritual helpers, your angels, are not better than you or me. My helpers are not better than me or lesser than me. We are equal to each other. The difference is their state of awareness is different.
Mm-hmm.
They're more aware of things. They've had more experiences. They have that more wisdom about them because of time and evolution, right? So that's the difference. So I was reading this, that all the souls, we're all equal. We all have that same equality. But the moment the soul decides to incarnate here on planet Earth, that goes away. It's done. The equality is over. Not because that of the oppression outside per se, that's a contributing factor, but the real source is because each one of us has a unique purpose. Each one of us has a unique need. So how in the world am I going to learn my lessons if every single one of us has this perfect, fair thing? It's just not going to work. That planet Earth would cease to be planet Earth. So the desire to make everything perfect and make everything free or everything safe, it's just a intellectual, out of balance pipe dream. It's a fairy tale. Now, I'm not suggesting I don't want to be free and I don't want to be safe. I absolutely want those things, and I make sure I organize myself to be that as much as possible, and I think that's the key. But I'm making that kind of my short story long here, because what we're covering in this discerning news is there are several things going on from Gaza and Israel, saying that they're going to move everybody out of the city, and all these things happen. Australia, they got this terrible thing happening with the gangs stabbing these poor
Couple
kids.
of teenagers.
Yeah, it's bad stuff. And then now, of course, with the Charlotte thing in the subway, and the Chicago's back in there. So now this stuff is happening. It's been happening for thousands of years, maybe. But we're bringing it up because there is a need right now to start becoming aware of our own boundaries, start to become aware of our own rules and where we begin and end. And that's really the key I wanted to go off of, is if I start becoming more aware of where I begin and end, right? It's my rights end where yours begin and yours begin and my right, that kind of thing. If I have that clear, then I can navigate and know where I need to be, and I know where I don't need to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's not to go over the top about it, but when I start recognizing, okay, if I start getting in this pipe dream idea that I'm trying to make something perfect, or I start using techniques as the end rather than remembering the common sense, okay, throughout history, we've had the ways to say if people can't handle themselves in society, we have traditionally isolated them out of the group.
Mm-hmm.
right? The Romans, the Greeks did that, the Persians done it. Every society they say, look, if you can't handle your own freedom and you start hurting yourself and hurting other people, we need to separate you out from the herd, from the pack, right? So that's what we have to remember, that that's part of what you have to do while people are figuring themselves out. Now, if we become too nicey, right, then we try to integrate them in without addressing the issue, without saying, wait a minute, that's a boundary issue. You need to go over here and learn boundaries first. And that's what we do to our young people, right? If we want to give people freedom as a young people, they say in the 0 to 7, I'm talking a lot here, so sorry.
That's
about that.
good.
So, but 0 to 7, we say that freedom is the most important principle, and during those first 7 years, right? Because that really kind of lets that young person, that soul, expand to take in like a sponge. They absorb all their energy at that moment, right? But I have to remember, it's freedom with boundaries. That's the key. So if I'm so free that I start hurting myself or hurting other people or damaging other things, then that means I can't handle that much freedom. I haven't respected that inside me. I don't have an understanding there, or something's a little off. There's a little kink. So then that's when the parents typically will move in and say, put them on restriction, or, you now punished, right?
Right.
And in society, we basically do the same thing. So, but if I try to reason with someone who has broken those guidelines, and then they keep breaking them, that means that's not working.
Right.
That means that there's something going on there that they need to be brought over here so you can relearn your boundaries again, because you're now hurting other people. And depending on how you think about it, you end up hurting yourself because you waste your time.
Spiritual growth is not a race. It's a gradual progression. You do not have to spend 24 hours a day working on it in order to feel more inner peace, deeper connection to your soul purpose, and feeling more confident in your daily life. The journey is all about balancing your physical and spiritual worlds. These two worlds are supportive for embracing the foundations of the real you. By just investing minutes a day for your spiritual part as you would invest in your house or other areas of your life. To gather more direction, clarity, and a new layer of inner awareness, check out the ebook set created by the Wayshowers College. Link and discount code in show notes.
Yeah, and one of the things that was occurring to me was, when do I know I'm getting caught in this game?
Yeah.
And one of the signs for me is that I start feeling really emotional about, a certain incident.
Right.
And, I start reacting to it. Like, who does he think he is? And why is he sending these, So it's almost like a pressure within to have this emotional response or reaction to something, right? And it's okay, because I go, I got a little reaction to that. Wonder what that's about, How can I, navigate this? Because as I get more mature and as I go through the decades in life, I find that it's not like this stuff just disappears all of a sudden. We have periods of time where things seem to be better and things more calm, and other times when, oh boy, it's all stirred up again. And, so what's going on energetically? And from a spiritual perspective, there's this idea, a concept that, what I've got within me is kind of echoing out,
right?
And so that's why it's so important for me to look within. And if I can, calm that within, if I can be more clear about where I begin and end with these things that are happening around me and what my personal situation is, that helps heal. Me being relaxed helps others to feel relaxed and feel more clear. So it's interesting what lessons we're sort of going through in the greater, what's the word that Teresa always used, the collective, the out there in society. The reflection of what's going on with individuals is being reflected out in society. So, we have tools and techniques to help people get back to that own inner awareness. And as we were saying, it starts with our free videos. We've got a starter ebook, and we're going to do an episode on Enthusiastically Spiritual where we bring you through the format of how to work with our materials so that, our purpose here is not to be people who are talking at you about enlightening you as to the spiritual truth and the truth shall set you free. I mean, it's to help you discover what you've already got within you. And how do I just get back to that inner pivot? How do I maneuver so I avoid, the pitfalls of getting caught in the moral issues or the injustice? And, what strikes me is that a lot of what, goes on and the concerns that people have, putting it positively, or the issues people have are really just as they're exploring either sort of a scientific idea, like you were telling me, you were sharing about the system and a technique, one technique's better than another, or it's a religious sort of concept that's out of balance, like saving, we got to save them, or, that's the injustice of the past. And so we have to, when you start tuning into your feelings and organizing what you feel, then when I do that, like it's my discernment, as we call it, it's clear, a way forward. And then we have spiritual helpers, guides that can help us in those situations. So for example, if I'm involved in law enforcement or if I'm involved in my everyday life, my guidance are always there to help me move through it in a bit more organized way or from a spiritual perspective. And at the bottom line is I just feel happy and free as I'm moving through, or there's more of a flow, and I don't have to get, sidetracked. I saw something interesting on Facebook. It was written in 1942. It was this fellow had, I'm paraphrasing, but something about, when they keep you worried about all that's going on around you, so you just don't do anything.
Right.
You don't get involved in life. That's a decoy. And we talked about that, our last episode where we got into that a bit too. But isn't it interesting? Somebody in 1942 said the same thing. We didn't dream it up, folks. We're really all about helping people unfold the wisdom they already have. And
well, I mean, anyway, I think there's going to be a recording on being involved in the Enthusiastically Spiritual.
Yeah.
But you're reminding me that how happy do you want to be? How happy do I want to be? I can be happy. I can be really happy, but it does take sincerity and commitment. Anytime I'm having these massive swings in my life, right? It's because I'm lacking some sincerity and commitment to myself. And I know that sounds a little airy-fairy, right? But that is the self-respect has dropped. And so the irony here is that if I don't have that inner discipline, I'm not going to feel the happiness that I can feel. If I don't have that sincerity, I'm not going to feel the fulfillment. So I do need to do the work for myself in order to have that balance of the intellect and the feeling, science and religion, so I can work with society. So, how happy do I want to be? How happy do you want to be? If you want to be more happy in your life, then it's time to start coming back to the big picture and decide that's your priority. That's what it's going to come down to. Otherwise, these little issues are going to become more important than what I've come to do, what you've come to do. That's what it comes down. I mean, I can sugarcoat it all day. We could circle around it. But until I come home to say who I am, where I came from, and where I'm going, and what am I going to do while I'm here, until I start making that a priority, I don't have to know all the answers. We don't have to know all the answers. Matter of fact, we critically share with people, it's like, we're not here to give you your answers. We're here to help set you up so you can unfold your answers. You become your own best psychic.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a critical thing. So the wrapping up this part of it is, if I don't have clear boundaries, if I don't set the energy where I begin and end, or I allow things to get too sloppy, I allow things to get wishy-washy, right, like a limbo type thing, then there will be something external to come and reset things. So that's what's happening. I think in one of our books, it talks about boundaries is where one energy meets the other energy, right? Now I can think that I have put all these fancy rules out there and these laws out there, and oh, I've got this law, and oh, I got this big fence around my property, but if I'm reacting, which is what you're saying, if I'm reacting things inside this, I will turn on the news and, oh my God, they're sending the National Guard, or, oh my God, this one's bombing that one, or, and I'm having a reaction inside. I mean, there's nothing wrong with like, oh my gosh, that's bad,
Yeah, concern.
There's a concern. But when it starts turning into an emotionalism thing, that already says very clearly my boundaries are way too far in and I don't have them far enough out. I'm not letting my energy express out, right? I'm retracting in. Because the moment you're feeling on, I mean, think about everyone listening to this. If you are on, you're feeling 100%, you're on fire, you're feeling good, everything's going for you, you're accomplishing, you're feeling bubbly and light. It's like you can hear bad news, but you're able to respond to it well because your boundaries are out, your energy's out, you're expanding, not contracting.
Mm-hmm.
And that tells you where you're at. But if you start having this living some other buddy's life, and oh, I'm feeling sorry for myself, or oh, I'm trying to save the poor little gal or guy, oh, they're poor little guy, they're a little lesser than, that game, whatever the trip is, then I'm going to end up retracting. I'm not expanding, right?
I think that a big key that struck me as you were sharing was living other people's lives.
Yeah.
And how that can become a decoy for me to be caught up in thinking about that rather than what's in front of me. And, I'm concerned about what goes on in the environment, and I have to be aware of it so that I can, meet my needs and wants and so forth. And I guess I always come back to it, it's never ending. There's always something, as Rosanna Dana's mother used to say, and there's so much truth in that the only way forward is for me to evolve, up or beyond it. And all that means is just staying relaxed and being a positive influence with the people around me. So, for example, if I was involved in the prison system or law enforcement, well, then I would do the best I could if I had a feeling for that, then I knew that was part of my life's work, to work with all the souls involved with that and the system for that, then I would be involved in that. But, I'm going to work with what I came to do. And I think we find ourselves, this is an insight I'd been getting over the weeks working with my guidance, is that, again, another angle on that, boy, I'm in the perfect opportunity to come and learn what I came to learn.
Yeah.
And that my guidance, here's a little inside information for folks, is never going to put me in they're never going to really fully back a situation where it's not what I came to be involved with. And what I mean by that is that intellectually, it may seem like that's something I should have or do, a job or an environment I need to be in, or I could compete in that, so I should get involved. Some of those thoughts that we have. But if it's really not where the learning is for me, I'm not going to end up in that area. That's not the energy I came to be involved with. So
it's like having, I have 100, what I hear you saying is it's like having 100% energy available to me, but I end up only using 50% because I'm on a tangent.
Yeah. And the tangent could be, saving or competition
Right.
or, in other words, it's something I've been taught to do or I've accepted as a concept rather than what I feel I need to be doing. The funny thing is that the freedom is in really following those feelings again and then doing greater works, being involved in things that really are fulfilling, where I can be more organized or I can do greater good for myself and, for other people. And even saying greater good, that's like a concept about what's the greater good. But, I think that feeling of wanting to make a difference, be of service, have a positive impact, maybe would be other words of, and I guess, for folks listening, what is it for you? I mean, what does that, where are you inspired to be? And my little aha moment, this week was, oh, that might not really be my opportunity, even though it's something I could do and I'd be good at it. It's not really where my energy for my greatest growth or my expansion, my plan, what I came to be involved with, can be in other areas, other places, with other people. So, and overall, I feel like I'm in the right place at the right time most of the time, but I think I'm kind of getting to this point where I'm starting to go, oh, and there could be more. Like my awareness is evolving. When I say evolve, I really don't mean from a greater than or lesser than point of view. It's more from a convenience point of view. Like, oh, now that I'm aware, that's easier, that's better, that's more fulfilling. That's with that positive thrust behind it.
Yeah. I think from what we've been picking up is just to be aware that there's going to be, particularly this week and maybe coming up a little bit, there's going to be more attention needed on where we begin and end personally.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure that I know where I begin and end. I have my direction clear, and also be aware that for whatever reason, there has been an energy, a pattern where the boundaries, the rules and regulations have gotten lackadaisical, right? And something has happened there, and now there's this other energy that's starting to move in the environment or around people that's going to start pushing those boundaries back again, bringing things back to where they were. And if I've gotten used to that lax energy, that where it's a little bit loose, I'm going to feel rebellious to things going back to neutral again, right? And also, I do need to be sensitive that it is a natural thing that things swing another direction. And it says it swang this way, now things are going to go swing that way.
Right.
And that's how it's going to happen, team. I wish it wasn't that way, but that is the way it's going to happen. And so instead of me getting caught up in it, I can be a part of the solution instead of part of the pollution. So if I'm out there fighting the good fight and being a good martyr, or, maybe I'm not a good martyr and I push the other martyr in, something like that, then I'm part of the pollution, right? So the real thing is to come back, okay, to what's the big picture? How do we help people to move through their life as much as free and as safe as possible? Where is that? So that's my contribution to society. But then I also need to have the priority of me needing to move forward, right? I can't take any of the rules and regulations with me. I can't take the free love and free society with me. I can't take the heavy duty National Guard rules and regulations with me. I can't take any of that with me. All I take with me is what I've pulled together for myself, what it means to be a soul that has its own self-respect, its own boundaries, its own freedom. That is what it's going to come down to. So be aware not to, I would say my closing statement would be aware not to get caught up in these things that are going on. Be aware that there's going to be this wave of things getting reset is what's going to happen. And we can see it right now. That was the reason why we brought up these stories about some of this horrific stuff, and then also these big challenges that are coming up, and these countries making resetting their boundaries, and we just got wars and stuff.
Yeah.
So there is nothing going to stop that. Even if we had somebody come and wave a magic wand and stop it all tomorrow, it would restart again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the energy we're in. That's the time we're in. So it's important to be aware where I begin and end, to know my own direction, to have that big picture, which is coming back full circle to what you brought up, making sure we go back through these basics, which is why we share those things on the free videos and the orientation, the home studies, all that stuff. Because why not enjoy myself? Why not really be of service and have the true concern for myself and people, even though there's times that are going up and down?
Yeah.
Why not? I don't have to be, sour all the time because something's going on. No, that's not how it is. I make my own world, right? I have to be a part of society, right? I can't just isolate myself and not expect something to happen. I want to be a part of things, but I can do it in a way that I want to do it. And that's the key, is just be aware that there's that something going on there, where there's a shifting going on, bringing things back into place. There's going to be some rebellion there because we've gotten used to things being way out one side. And indeed, it's going to swing the other way. You don't have to guess. It's going to happen.
Over time, it will happen.
Over time, it'll happen. And that's normal, right? In the meantime, it's important that I know where I begin and end. I know what my direction is, and that we keep being of service.
Yeah. And just remember, folks, we've got online courses. It's great. We also go on tour and we put on workshops and classes. But to get yourself ready for some of that, it's, take a look at those free videos, take a look at some of the next steps, and, get involved in discovering who your guidance are, work with some of the techniques. And like I said, on the next episode of Enthusiastically Spiritual, we're going to talk about our formats and how all that works for us. But again, we are looking to help you help yourself and make it more practical, and really just pass on what's worked for us. And we love it because when you share, we often get an insight. When Tiger shares, I kind of see things from a different angle. And that's what being here on planet Earth is all about. Yeah. So thank you for letting us share, and we'll see you on the next episode.
To keep the enthusiasm going, please like, subscribe, or comment below. We would love to hear from you.